Welcome back to Steeped in Storytelling, where sip by sip, word by word, we uncover the power of story, science, and sound. I'm Sarah DeLong, a voiceover artist, integrative somatic facilitator, and former librarian who loves weaving connections between art and science. In this episode, we're leaning into the magic of Storytime, not just as entertainment, but as essential nourishment for growing brains, bodies, and bonds. We'll explore how stories shape development, offer regulation, and plant the seeds of identity. We'll read a bit, play a bit, and remember the power of voices that wrapped us in safety. Today's brew is a childhood memory in a cup. Light and effervescent tisane that smells like flowers. Lavender and chamomile with a drop of peppermint. What was the first voice that made you feel safe? What stories do you return to again and again because of the sound of them, the feel of them, the familiarity of them? Maybe you still remember the voices, the pauses, the page creases, the way your body softened in their presence. When a child listens to a story, their brain doesn't just hear the words, it lights up with imagination, empathy, sequencing, and motor planning. Books teach pattern, they teach rhythm, but even more, they teach relationship. Research shows that children who are read to regularly build stronger vocabularies, better emotional regulation, and more secure attachments. That's not just because of what's on the page, but because of how it's shared. Storytime, especially when delivered by a responsive rhythmic voice, activates a part of the brain called the default mode network, which supports self-reflection and social awareness. Songs and rhymes are part of this rhythm-based learning too. From Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to the Itsy Bitsy Spider, children's songs are rich in repetition, vocabulary, and memory building. They're storytelling with melody, and they anchor the developing brain in safe, predictable sounds. In my time as a children's librarian and children's literacy center director, I worked with kids from preschool through 4th grade, many of whom were struggling with reading. These are formative years where support from adults can make all the difference. Blossoming readers need both skill and confidence. That means being read to, yes, but also being spoken with, asked questions, invited to turn pages, encouraged to play with sounds and syllables and rhythm. Read-alouds aren't just a school skill, they're a connection ritual. Children between preschool and 4th grade are in a golden window for developing fluency, comprehension, and a love of reading. But they're also vulnerable to losing ground if they don't receive consistent, joyful support. Whether you're a parent, teacher, grandparent, librarian, or neighbor, know that your voice matters. Sharing stories isn't just a gift to them, it's an investment in their future. In short, stories grow brains, but more than that, they grow belonging. Excerpt from Miss Rumphius by Barbara Cooney. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. Miss Rumphius did many things. She traveled far, saw great mountains, and met kind people. But still she remembered her promise. So she scattered lupine seeds and watched them bloom in purples and pinks and blues. The children called her the Lupine Lady. And she smiled because she had done what she said. She had made the world more beautiful. Some of my first safe harbors were voices. Fred Rogers, LeVar Burton, Larry Brantley, the voice of Wishbone, Megan Follows in Anne of Green Gables, everyone who narrated picture books on cassette tape in the 80s. The people who spoke with care, who were curious, who made room for pause. They shaped how I learned to speak and listen and feel. And to be a little vulnerable, you may have noticed I didn't mention family. I'm still coming to terms with the voices from my childhood. I learned to find safety in books. It was there that I learned words could be kind, intentional, and safe. Books were bridges. Miss Rumphius taught me I could be bold and still care. The Felicity series by Valerie Tripp helped me understand courage and consequence. Catherine Called Birdie by Karen Cushman taught me snark, albeit in English from the 13th century. I don't just remember their messages. I remember how their voices made me feel. And maybe that's why I do what I do now. Welcome back to the Book Nook, where we curl up with a few written wonders that echo today's brew. Today's Book Nook is a little bigger than usual because I couldn't pick just 1, 2, or even 3. First up is Ada Twist, Scientist by Andrea Beatty and illustrated by David Roberts. I love this book and the entire questionnaire series so much that one Halloween for a pumpkin painting contest at work, I made an Ada pumpkin, complete with goggles. Ada's world is one where asking, why, is not just encouraged, it's the beginning of a narrative of discovery. Then there's The Book with No Pictures by B.J. Novak that plays with tone, expectation, and voice itself. It reminds us that Storytime isn't about how much is on the page, but how much you pour into the telling. When I was a children's librarian, this book was by far a Storytime favorite of kindergarten, first, and second grade groups. It always brought the giggles. I also love Ta-Da by Kathy Ellen Davis and illustrated by Keilani Juanita. This playful picture book follows 2 friends as they invent stories together, sometimes clashing, sometimes compromising, always co-creating. It's a beautiful celebration of negotiation and the magic of what shall we play next? That's storytelling. Collective, full-bodied imagination, and joyfully unscripted. And for the writers in the room, I recommend The Magic Words by Cheryl B. Klein. It's a gentle, generous resource on writing for children and teens, but also a powerful invitation to think more deeply about plot, language, emotional truth, and voice. Klein, who's edited many beloved titles, reminds us that words matter, structure matters, and children deserve our very best storytelling. Storytime isn't small. It's the scaffolding for cognitive flexibility, emotional growth, and creative joy. Let's pause. Feeling soft and unsteady in the best way. Take one voice memo where you sing a lullaby to your own heart. It doesn't have to rhyme. Just be kind. Listen back with tissues, tea, and absolutely zero judgment. Side effects: trust, tenderness, and an urge to call your inner child. Thank you for sitting with me today, for remembering your stories, your rhythms, your safe harbors. Next time on Steeped in Storytelling, we explore the muscle memory of voice and how we find our vocal authenticity.